Good day, everyone. So if you're wondering what a bad bearing sounds like on a car, I'm going to demo it. I'm going to focus on the speed here. I'm going to try to get up to about 80 kilometers an hour, maybe a bit over, about maybe 50 miles an hour. And hopefully, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to hear this, I've already determined it's the driver's side bearing just by jacking the car up and spinning the wheel. It'll be obvious. Just do that on each side and give it a spin. You'll be able to tell. But anyways, let's get going so you can hear it. In case you're wondering, I always thought it was just my tires were bad, but here we go. Quite loud. Anyways, there you have it. I'm going to show you how to fix this up. Okay. Alright, so here we go. We're going to replace this hub bearing. Now you don't have to do this, but I have some ramps here. I like to put the car up on some ramps so I can see underneath. Make sure you check to make sure you're going to jack it on the proper jacking location. And because this video really applies to many other cars also, it's pretty much the same procedure. So basically, if you have a hubcap, take that off. On this Saturn, just take this thing off. And before you jack up the car or do anything, you want to loosen the hub bolt here, or nut I should say. It's a 30 millimeter. Typically that's the same on many vehicles, but you know, you might want to check. So I'm just going to go over here, and all we want to do, so we have the full weight of the vehicle on here, and we're going to lift up and just loosen it off a little bit. You don't want to do this when the tire's up in the air. So that's probably good. And the next thing, of course, normally when you're taking off a wheel, now this is a 19 mil on this car. You want to loosen the lugs a little bit. Oh, there we go. And then I'm going to jack this up right now. So step one, now that we have the tire up off the ground, we're just going to get these lug nuts off. Pull that off. All right. Our next step is going to be taking off this whole caliper. You don't have to totally disassemble it. There's only a couple bolts back here. Okay, so let's take off this caliper. You might need an extension for the lower one. The upper one, well, they're both 13 mil. This one I can get here. Okay, well, pretty good. So I had these off in a year or so ago, and I usually put some sort of an anti-seize on them. But that one's off. The other one at the bottom, you're definitely going to need this extension. Just get past the boot here at the back. So remember, there's only two bolts that holds this whole caliper on here. Let me just feel here.
I have to give her some more pressure here. Hang on. Oh, it's coming up now.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to put the bolt. I have a bucket here. So here's the two bolts for the caliper. Set that there. And in theory, this should slide off. If not, Wow, I'm looking at these pads. Oh my goodness. That inner pad is really super worn. Wow. Okay, I might be in store for some pads. If that's the case, well, we can do most of the stuff anyway, but okay, so we have that off, and I have it sitting on this bucket. We'll knock off this hub, make sure my camera's over here. Now, if no one's really messed with the car too much, there's going to be some little retainer clips that hold this on, and they should screw off. If not, you might just have to gently convince them to come off. There we go. Now this guy should just bang off here. I'll give him a few hits. A lot of rust in these cars. I'm up in Canada. Salt everywhere. Just turns into a nightmare. Okay, we have the rotor off. That's all good. Huh. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with these brakes. Alright. I have a feeling I'm going to have to do some brake work, but nonetheless, we're going to get this bearing done. And then the assembly, I mean, if there's nothing wrong, you can just put it back together how I took it apart. But let's hang on, someone's phoning me. Okay, to get the bearing assembly off, again, it's a 13 mil. There's a bolt here, over here, and one down here. Now, fortunately, with my extension and with this length of socket, the access was really good. I'm not gonna lie, I loosened these a bit. I had to use, make sure you have things lined up perfectly, okay? I didn't want to sit here hammering on something all day because I thought that might be a little bit boring for you, but basically what happened, so I was back here, got things lined up nicely. Hopefully you can see. And not a lot of room to work in here, but I was able to get my hammer back here and just gave it a few good whacks, and it did loosen the bolts, and so we're gonna take these out now. Okay, so everything's undone. We need to take out the center bolt here. Otherwise, hitting it with a hammer all day long and not coming off. So, remember I pre-loosened that when the tire was on the ground. You should do it that way. And I loosened it with the with my big bar. This is not really meant for doing this kind of work. One of these little. It is ratcheting, but it's already loose, so it should come off. Just saving me time. Alright, so Got that off. There's a washer there, so pay attention when you finally get this off. Doesn't look like it's going to come out right now, but I'm going to spray a little bit of lube in here. Let that soak for a minute. And get my hammer and we'll bang that off in a sec. I'll try to whack this thing off here. Whack it up. Oh my god. Yeah. The center thing. Okay, that's sliding fine. That's okay. But yeah, I should have done this first to make sure that was all. Okay. Okay, so I have it apart, and unfortunately it got too dark. I had a few things I had to do. But anyways, I continued on hammering away, and what ended up happening, so this was sitting there, you know, flush, of course, like that. My neighbor brought me over a big chisel, and I'm just going to take this off so I can show you. So what I did, I set the chisel right in here. There's a nice little spot, and just continued hitting it with the hammer, and I got it to twist a little bit. Then I went over here, hit it with the hammer, got it to twist a bit, and then it started pulling out a bit, and then I managed to get the chisel in a bit here. Try to avoid going against here. Try to get a bit of an angle so you're pushing more onto this cast steel here. So anyways, this came off, and I want to show you on the new one, this ring here. See this ring? Normally it was flush right in there. It's part of the ABS sensing unit. So this typically gets separated and is stuck in there, like it's rusted in or whatever, corroded in. And if you look, on the new one, this is where the cord comes in, right? And on the cast here, there's a little bit of a notch, and you can actually fit in, because this ring's not going to come out, it's rusted in there. So basically I was able to fit a small, you use a screwdriver, or I have a small little pry thing here. So I was able to get that in there, and basically you just gotta, you know, you work it, and you're gonna bend this thing, and it will pop out eventually. Maybe spray a little bit of lube in there. So anyway, so this came out, and so at this point all I did is I went around in the inner surface here, cleaned it up a bit, just scraped out any of the loose material. Make sure you clean the spindle off. Spray it down with some brake cleaner, or even rinse it off with WD-40. And so now we're set to go to start putting this thing together. So I'll get all set up here and have some really important points to go over once we get going here. So yeah, I'm all ready to go. The new one got a good deal on it. So okay, so I have everything reasonably cleaned up. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some of this anti-seize stuff. I recommend probably using some of this. If you ever have to take it apart again, it will come apart. I'm going to put some around where the ring goes in for the ABS. That way, in the future, hopefully, this isn't going to be all jammed up. I'm just hoping that I don't ever have to do this again, to tell you the truth. But, you know, in the future, if you do, or if someone else does, it's kind of only takes a minute, and it's going to help someone out. And also put some on the spindle here, just a light coat. Just go around it.
There we go. Now, get to the big stuff.
Feed the connector through. Let's see. This person needs 3 hands. Come on, connector, get back there. There we go. Okay. All right, we might have to tap this in a bit. I was being a little bit too. Alright, so that's basically on there. We just need to put the 3 bolts in. Okay, so I just started the 3 bolts here. One here, here, and here. Just reverse of what we did before when we took it off. And so I did get them started. But let's get these tightened up. And what you want to do, a few things you can do as you're tightening these. First of all, they should not be hard to turn in. If they are, then you're probably cross-threading them. And if you look, I don't know if you can see on camera, but originally the bolts, they stuck out a little bit past here. So that's just one thing to look for to make sure you, actually I can, once I get it out a little bit more, you can see it starting to come through, maybe on the camera. But there's the end coming through there now. So, and I'm not going to super tighten this because you want to tighten these up evenly, and you're going to see this, the housing here, start to press against the vehicle, or against the mount here. So just tighten it until you feel it starting to, you know, a little bit of resistance or whatever. So there's a little bit of resistance there. And then just start going around evenly is you want to pull this in nice and square. And I can see all my bolt heads are sticking out all the same. This guy over here needs a bit more. Now, I'm sure there's torque specs for this, but you can't fit a torque wrench back there. Well, if you're up on maybe a lift or something, but you know what? All we're going to do, make sure they're all evenly tightened to begin with. It's very important to go around. Tighten, tighten again, keep moving around. Okay, so starting to feel it now, and I think they're all pretty much even, so I'm going to go ahead and give us a, you know, don't get too crazy, but, you know, give it a good snug up. Get this guy here. Oh, that one's good. And that's good too. I'm just going to double check my first one. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so that's on. Now, I guess we can hook up the, we might as well hook up the sensor here, or the electrical connector here. Now it comes with this little clip, and let me make sure. So just push it up in here. Actually, it might be easier to attach this first. Okay, so that's hooked up. And this should just snap into place. Keyword, should. Okay, there we go. So we just need to put on the hub bolt. Let me get it set up for that. Or not, I should say. Put a little bit of this anti-seize down in here where the washer goes. And we'll get the washer in place. There we go. And then just also put a little bit on the washer. Now you shouldn't normally put anything on these threads, but I've just put like a tiny, just a little tiny wee bit right around the edge here. That will keep it from corroding. It's not really gonna get on the threads. Right in the center there. I don't know, just keep it from rusting. Anyway, so now we have to get on the big nut here. So we'll get that started by hand. That should turn on fairly easy. Tightened up a bit there. And then you should torque this. Now, if someone can tell me in the comments what the actual spec is, I'd appreciate that, because doesn't seem to be clear, and I don't have a manual. So be careful with this. I'm doing what I'm doing, so you should check into it. But again, if someone knows for sure in the comments, go ahead, tell me what it is. But I've seen ranges from 150 up to 300 for vehicles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off at 185, and basically after I'll drive the car a little bit once I'm all done, and I'll pop off that center cap, and you can go back in and check it. If I get an actual number, I'll let you know, but you know, just make sure it hasn't backed off or anything. I think it's going to be fine at 185. Let's give her a go. And you know what? That actually feels about where it needs to be. Just from how it felt when I took it off and stuff. I don't know, I'm happy with that. That's good. Okay, so I'm basically, we're basically done here, and at this point, if you didn't have to do your brakes or anything, so basically put the rotor back on, reattach the caliper and stuff, just how we took it off, just the opposite. But before you put your rotor back on, and again, don't get any on these threads, but go around the base of the threads, like the base of the lug bolt. And actually, just give this all a bit of a coating. This will prevent the rotor from sticking on here, so when you go to take it off in the future, it's not, you know, especially if you're in a rusty region, or in the rust belt, I guess. As I say, I'm up in Canada. They use salt like crazy here. Makes everything rusty. Your cars fall apart. So a little bit of this gonna help if you ever have to take that rotor off again. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, come back for more. Take care, have a great day.